Hello, everyone. This is the Movie Night Society again. It's still Christmas time, so we're talking about Christmas movies. Last week we talked about Elf, the modern Christmas classic Elf, and today we're talking about the even more modern Better Watch Out. I don't know if I can call this a Christmas classic, but I I I I really like this movie. I've got the T-shirt, and I've seen it. I think 3 times now. I think this was my third time seeing it. Um, I recommended it because I kind of felt like after Elf, we needed to go in the complete opposite direction
This
of
was
Elf.
definitely the complete opposite direction, that's for sure.
Yeah, we're gonna spoil the movie, of course, like we always do. But I think with this is one of those movies where I feel like going in, it's best not to know too much about it. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, I say go check it out and then come back and like listen to us because yeah, we're gonna spoil everything, and I think it's more satisfying when you just kind of see it happen. I watched the trailer after watching the movie, and it spoils like almost everything. It was like kind of insane. Uh, but I found out about this movie just through I think Jay from Red Letter Media like tweeted about it or something. I was like, oh, what's this? And then I watched it. I think it was on Shutter, and it's still on Shutter. And I really liked it. It was really surprising to me. Um, so I'm curious what you thought about it because I didn't say too much about it. I think
Yeah,
all I said was
I went into this movie completely blind, no trailers watched, and I felt many emotions watching
yeah,
this movie. It's one of those movies where it kind of gets you in the first part, like, oh, you think this is how it's gonna go, and then takes a complete 180 turn, and it's like, oh, this is not what I was expecting. I don't think I've ever wanted to kill a 12-year-old kid ever before in my life more than this movie. I was legit pissed off, like legit pissed off watching this movie. Gosh, I was like the characters in the situation. It's like I could feel like just it's like if it was me tied to this stupid chair, just I'd be seething in anger this whole time, just knowing like, okay, that's jumping ahead if unless we want to just kind of break down this movie because I feel like that would probably be like the most effective way to talk about it, and all the different
yeah,
emotions you're probably gonna feel when you get to certain parts of the movie.
yeah. This is my third time seeing it, and it still makes me feel like uncomfortable and yeah, kind of pissed off and angry
I'm just
at the
angry
character.
throughout this whole movie. Just that was like the one emotion I felt after a certain part is just pure anger. So that was me. That was my experience with this. So gosh, I never
um,
wanted to kill a kid more in my life. Gosh, I've never, ever. I think a movie character pissed me off more than this kid.
well, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I guess that's kind of what the movie is trying
I,
to
I
do.
would I would think, yeah. I,
So,
I don't think how you could like root for him. So you
oh,
want to
oh no,
see
there's no
him.
way to root for this kid.
No, there's not. If you root for this kid, get away from me. Just get away from me. I don't want anything
Yeah,
to do with you.
yeah. If you root for this kid, you probably like are this kid.
Yeah, pretty much. And I don't want anything to do with that.
But yeah, what we should kind of get into the plot, because it's deceptively simple in the beginning. It's very like, well, the only thing I really kind of knew about this movie or heard about it, I guess, was that it was sort of a home invasion type movie, which it kind of starts out as.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah, that's what it seems
there-
like it's gonna be at first. And like, okay, so this is how this movie is gonna go.
yeah, we kind of follow this one family uh, where the parents are going to go off to a Christmas party. The kid's like, I think he says he's like 12 years old. He's about to be
Yeah,
13.
13, a couple months or something like that. So he's a 12-year-old.
Yeah,
This is a
and
12-year-old. And his friend is probably 12-year-old too, or maybe
yeah,
13. But they're around that age range.
yeah, and so the parents leave for a Christmas party and leave. their son, his name's Lucas, with a babysitter who the kid has a crush on, major crush.
Yeah, of course.
Uh, and it starts out innocently enough, like it's like, okay, the kid's acting, you know, kind of flirty and everything
I
with the
thought there was some
babysitter.
already like major red flags at the beginning when like you got these
Yeah.
12-year-olds smoking weed or wanting to
Oh
smoke
yeah.
weed or something.
Yeah, yeah. The kid, his friend has like socks on it, like that has like the weed
I
leaves
was
on
like,
it.
where are 12-year-olds getting weed? I mean, I know like public schools and stuff, but still, just why? Just why? They're 12. This is just weird.
uh, and yeah, so basically the parents leave, and the babysitter comes, and it's
Now,
just,
first, you got to talk about who the dad was a
oh yeah,
surprise. I was like,
yeah, the dad is played by Patrick Warburton.
yeah, when he
Very
shows like, what?
small role,
I know, I
but
was like, what are you doing here?
just a, yeah, just a nice like cameo, or essentially it
Yeah,
doesn't even
because they're
feel like
not
a
in it
big
much.
role.
The very beginning and then like the very
Yeah,
end. So they're hardly in this movie.
this is, I don't know what is going on with the green screening thing here. It's going nuts.
Because you just got that
Uh,
stupid kid as your background. That's why
he's messing with it.
he's mad. He is.
Um, but yeah, it's like the movie really is essentially like three characters for most of it, and kind of a fourth one comes in. So very very small cast. I looked up the budget for the movie, and it was like $3 million, which is pretty cheap, for a movie. And it was. I actually watched the behind the scenes, so I'll, if I have anything to chime in with,
I
I'll
saw some
mention.
of the behind the scenes stuff too, just like a little bit.
Yeah, it seems like the director was pretty passionate about the work, and I think it was like, it was an idea that, I think the two of the other writers, or something, uh, it was an idea that they had, but they were like, it doesn't quite work or whatever. We don't know how to quite make it work. And then the director was like, oh, what if we do this? And then they were like, oh, and then they kind of developed the movie. So kind of interesting. Yeah, like for a $3 million movie, like it's pretty. I think it looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Like for taking place in like one house, it could have looked really, I don't know, cheap. Um,
Yeah, well, what I learned from the behind the scenes is how much this was like a set that they built and not just
yeah,
filming it in a house. Especially the backyard was a set too. That was interesting to
yeah,
learn. It's like, oh wow, they made it look really convincing. I never even would have thought that was a set until I saw the behind the scenes. So that was they did a pretty good job with making the sets and everything and making it look like a believable home and believable backyard and all that. Because that's really all you get to see in this movie is just the inside of the house and then a little bit of the outside, and that's kind of it.
yeah. And it, I think the movie was produced in Australia, I
Yeah,
believe.
I heard it was Australia. Like they shot it during the summertime, so I think one of the crew members was talking how it was hot and he was sweating because it's summertime, but I'm seeing snow and it's just kind of weird.
Yeah, that was that was interesting to like find out, because I was like, oh, like I know this was Australian at all. Like none of the actors are using their actual accents and
Yeah, they're all
everything.
using American accents. So
Yeah. Oh yeah, and I want to mention, two of the kids in the movie, uh, Lucas's friend Garrett, and the babysitter. They're both in M. Night Shyamalan's The Visit as well, which
oh
came out like a
really?
year before this.
That's
I
funny.
don't know if this was in production before that or something, but it's kind of funny, just to see both of them again. I did not really like their performances in The Visit. I'll be straight up. I don't think they had good material to work with, but I thought they were both really good in this movie. I thought all the acting was actually pretty good in this movie, especially for like, you know, like child actors. I think the babysitter, I think, is an adult, but um, I think,
Yeah, because I
the
think they
kid,
say that
yeah,
she's 5 years older than them
yeah,
in the movie, so that make her 17, 18 in the movie.
Yeah, I think she's also like moving away, uh, and I don't remember if it was supposed to be like, oh, she's moving. I think it's like her parents and her are moving, so maybe it wasn't for college, but I feel like in the behind the scenes they mentioned like, oh, she's moving to college or something like that. I'm not sure if that was
Yeah,
something they
something
changed
something like that.
because the original title for the movie they changed as well. It was originally called Safe Neighborhood, and they eventually changed it to Better Watch Out, which I think is a much better title. Safe Neighborhood, it's like they're in one house the entire movie. It doesn't like it's not really about the neighborhood, but um, I kind of get why they had that name, but I think Better Watch Out is a better title. Um, but yeah, so like the plot, I guess. I mean, Lucas, is kind of alone with the babysitter, and before that, he's like with Garrett, his friend, and they're like talking about like Lucas is like reading some article online about like, oh, watching horror movies like gets your endorphins like running and like you know oh it's basically going to make the girl like super attracted to you and all that and it's like oh my god
Yeah,
like
this
they
sounds about
really are.
sounds about something two horny teenagers would believe.
Yeah. uh and it's just like and it's like at first it's kind of funny because it's like okay well they're teenagers, it's like innocent enough, I guess. It doesn't feel like we don't know what's going to happen, so we're kind of like just very, I don't know, in this sort of state of innocence at that point, even though like Lucas does obviously like go too far. He like tries to kiss Ashley, I think is her name.
Yeah, he's like trying to obviously do things to impress her and woo her and stuff. And for the most part, she's kind of like making the line pretty clear. But
Yeah,
she says thing. I think she says like, "Oh, if I was your age, I'd date you." Just like, why would you say that?
yeah.
You
It's
just,
like yeah, not around this kid.
I knew like she wasn't probably expecting him to go as far, like trying to kiss her and stuff like that. But you gotta know he's a teenage boy, and it doesn't take
Yeah,
much.
I think
So
in
it's
her
like,
mind it's like trying to develop some kind of confidence in him in some way. But yeah, it's like she's clearly doesn't want this kid because he's
yeah,
12.
of course not.
uh, but yeah, like Lucas is like drinking wine and stuff to impress her and everything. Uh, and yeah, and then basically certain things kind of happen where like oh that the back door is unlocked and it's wide open and
Yeah, this
uh,
is like some of the stuff in the movie where it's kind of making you think it's going to be this home invasion movie, and it feels like it's trying to also scare you, but everything is so not scary. So I'm like, is the movie trying to scare me? Is it just like it's not scary, like, but it feels like it's trying to scare me. I don't know what's going on here.
yeah, it's one of those movies where if you don't have enough patience for it, you might just shut it off because it's like it's not bad, but it's like a typical kind of home invasion movie, and it's like okay, it's not really like what's gonna happen, uh, and okay, well one thing that happens is that Garrett, like Lucas's friend, he leaves earlier, but then he comes back and surprises them, and yeah, he gets kind of caught up in this home invasion, and uh, basically things escalate. Like a brick gets thrown in through the window, and it says like, "You leave, you die," uh, and they're like, yeah, all these things are happening where like you see someone outside the window, and uh, the phone lines aren't working.
Yeah,
Um,
all the kind of classic like home invasion type stuff.
yeah, and Garrett eventually gets so scared that he runs outside into the backyard and he gets shot, and you see like, we think is a blood squib or whatever, and he's like lying there.
That
Uh,
part was funny to me too, because obviously we don't know kind of the twist with that yet. So when he gets shot, he just makes this like "ow" like sound, like when he gets shot, like the most like unconvincing. Like, oh, I just like paused it and laughed at that part because it's just like, what kind of reaction to that to being shot? You're just like, "ow." That's what it sounded like. So I was like, what's going on here, movie? Like, I can't tell what you're trying to be right now. Is like, am I supposed to be taking this serious? Am I not? This is where the movie just tricks you. It's tricking you at this point still.
yeah, yeah, I like these kinds of movies that like kind of trick you into thinking it's one thing
Yeah, boy,
and
this
then
is trick
turn you into
you.
something else. Yeah. Uh, and so yeah, like things keep happening where like Lucas and Ashley are kind of going through the house and trying to hide from. They see like someone upstairs with a shotgun and like a ski mask on, and they're like, "Oh my god, holy shit!" So they're upstairs and they're trying to hide from this guy, and like,
Yeah, they're running around like the whole house trying to, I don't know, just find like a good spot to hide or get to like the gun that his parents
yeah,
have. And this is also, I was just like tripping out watching this because they get in the attic at some point and like Ashley, the girl, she
yeah,
gets covered in spiders and she kind of like falls out of the attic almost. And
oh yeah,
like, how does this guy not hear all this? Like, how like where is he? Where's the invader? Is it just like a dumb invader? He's not, he can't hear like what's going on. So again, I'm just thinking, it's just, this is not a good movie.
yeah. There's all those like, it's kind of, well, I don't want to say what movie, but there's another movie that we both really like where it kind of does this, where it's like, oh, is this supposed to be bad? Or
Yeah,
what is this? What is happening? And then there's finally kind of a
yeah,
revelation
yeah, and then it's
reveal.
like, oh, okay, you got me,
Yeah.
movie, you got me.
So I guess we'll get to what happens. They're hiding out. Lucas and Ashley are hiding out in Lucas's room in the closet. And earlier, Ashley saw a picture um, of Lucas when he was a kid with his parents at, like some mountain or whatever, like some ski resort, and he was wearing a ski mask, and she realized like, isn't that your ski mask? And then she gets out of the closet and is like, Garrett. I just love like he just stops like, dude, like what do we
Oh,
do? And it's revealed that this burglar or bandit or whatever is Garrett dressed up, and the
yeah,
whole
this is,
idea.
and you're kind of like, okay, wait, so this whole home invasion is fake, but obviously we still have a lot of the movie to go through. So I was
Yeah,
wondering, it's like, is it gonna pull that twist where it's like, oh, it was just like a fake invasion, haha, and then like a real invasion happens? That's where I thought it was kind of gonna go, but obviously it's not where it went.
yeah, really does not go. It's like a home invasion, but they're already in the home of the invader, I guess, in a way. Because like a lot of home invasion movies have the, person tied up, kind of, and that's like a big thing in home invasion movies that happens. And it's like, uh, yeah, the jig is up for Garrett and Lucas. They were basically trying to scare her to so that Lucas could like get closer to her, I guess, is the idea. And it's like, what the fuck? What kind of plan is that? And then, well, of course, that's sort of like what we think it is at this point. And then uh she, goes out to the hallway and goes to the stairs to like, you know, call his parents and everything. And then he pushes her down the stairs.
Yeah, or I think he like slaps her or something, and yeah, she just
Something like that. Yeah.
falls down the stairs, and then you're like, whoa, what on earth is going on?
Yeah, because like even to that point, even though it's like, yeah, this is a really stupid prank, and it's like it's just like, okay, no one got hurt and no one got like, you know, of course, like emotionally, it must have been
Pretty
traumatizing for
scary.
like Ashley, but
Yep.
like
Yep.
it's like okay, well, no one was injured, no one was like killed, and at this point, like it's like oh my god, okay, this movie just keeps escalating everything that happens, uh, but never to a degree where it feels like it goes too over the top. At least for me, I never felt like this movie went to like a oh I can't take this seriously anymore. I always felt like it was pretty grounded, and it always felt like realistically like uncomfortable, you know. Um,
Yeah, I get you.
so
I get you.
she like wakes up and she's tied to a chair, with duct tape over her mouth, basically like this on my shirt, uh, and like uh, she yeah, but it's just like there's this like conversation between Lucas and Garrett where they're just kind of hanging out and they're talking about like what was it like oh they were like oh yeah fuck Mary Kill the
Oh, with
Adventure
Adventure
Time
Time
girls,
characters. Yeah.
and they're like talking very like they're just talking about it so casually
Yeah, they got a
while like
girl tied
she's
up in the
waking up,
next
yeah, and
room.
it makes it feel very uncomfortable because it's like okay, girl tied up is just like not, it's just unsettling, it's uncomfortable, and then like you add this conversation on top of it and it's like oh
Yeah, because it's a conversation that obviously reminds you that these are
yeah,
just stupid teenage kids that are like way over their heads at this point, but they're still
yeah,
just teenagers. Like they have these very teenagerish conversations that you could believe, 12, 13-year-olds would have. And, but it's like things are so out of hand now. Like, okay, this started as a prank and now you're committing a crime. And you just kind of keep wondering, like, where's it going to go from here?
yeah, and it's also clear at this point that Garrett doesn't know like Lucas's true motives with this whole like endeavor or whatever.
He doesn't know yet that his friend is a psychopath.
Yeah, and Lucas gives him some what was it like oxycontin to like calm him down, to calm
Yeah,
Garrett
he gives him
down.
gives him something.
Yeah, and it's like okay, it's just so I don't know, especially after seeing the movie and rewatching the movie, it just like everything becomes more apparent about the relationships between characters and stuff, you know? It's like, okay, Garrett is not really Lucas's friend. He's almost like a pawn for Lucas to use, and he's like psychologically kind of, you know, got him wrapped around his finger, like or whatever the expression is. It's like I don't know. It just makes I like that there is more to these characters than just kind of like a I feel like a typical home invasion movie would just kind of have the bad guys and the good guys, and there's no like interesting or interpersonal like relationships, Uh, so yeah, I like what really. I mean, there's lots of stuff that happens, probably one of the most uncomfortable scenes is like they start playing Truth or Dare, and then Garrett dares Lucas to like touch her breasts, and it's like one thing I'll say about the movie is that I thought about this. There's a kill later on that we'll get to, and they don't really show it. And I thought that was very effective. And I'm glad this movie doesn't show a lot of the kind of more disturbing aspects. Like we don't see his hand like grab her breast or anything. It's
Mhm.
like, and
Yeah,
the fact that
you don't need
it's all
to.
implied. Yeah, it's like you don't need to revel in this character's like actions. It's not like I don't know, like in some movies, kills and stuff, like you kind of want there to be a satisfying kill that you can see, you know. Sure, we've seen some movies for this channel like that, Uh, but the kills and like what Lucas is doing is not. something to be reveling in. It's so I think it was a very smart decision not to show these kind of things, you know. Um,
Yeah, things are already
I don't
disturbing
really.
enough. We definitely
Yeah,
didn't need to
it's
see his hand on her breasts.
yeah.
Would have
That
pissed
would
me off even more.
yeah. I think that would be too far. And that's the thing about the movie. It never feels like it goes too far. Because the
Lucas
subject
goes too
matter
far,
is
that's
so
for sure.
he does, but it never graphically goes too far or
No,
anything.
not like
It's
that.
like
But
it's not
Lucas
like
himself goes too far, that's for sure.
yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think of other movies that I've seen. Like I watched a movie called Christmas Cruelty, and I it was really boring, but it was like one of those movies where it's like, you know, there's just rape and really graphic killing in it, and it's like, okay, there's nothing here other than that, and it's like it just feels like it's reveling in it and not, I don't know, trying to make you feel anything other than just shock value. You know, I don't know. I'm glad that this is kind of a disturbing movie that doesn't like quite cross the realm into that, you know? I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I think I get you.
It still feels like accessible, weirdly enough, like this movie. It doesn't feel like it totally is off-putting, you know? At least for me. I'm sure some people would definitely be like, okay, like shut this off. I can't handle this, or you know, I don't not invested or whatever. But I think most people would probably enjoy this movie, at least to the degree that it, you know, wants you to enjoy the movie, or at least get invested in it. Um, so anyway, so this part is like essentially there's a lot of like, okay, Ashley is, you know, of course, wondering what is going on, trying to,
So
you
is the
know,
audience.
negotiate uh, with Lucas for her life, you know, and she tries to like. There's like one part where Garrett and Lucas go into another room, and they're like talking, and Ashley tries to like get a flashlight and signal for help outside the window, but it
I,
doesn't seem like
I like it.
anyone is in this neighborhood.
Yeah, I like at this point too is we're never really sure how far Lucas is gonna go because
Yes.
it's like a lot of things just kind of keep escalating with him. Like, okay, first part of the movie, he's trying to kiss her. It's like, and he,
Yeah.
it's like he drinks alcohol to impress her, tries to kiss her. It's like, okay, well, you're going obviously too far, but it's like you could maybe just chalk that up to being a dumb teenager. He's not hurting anyone at least. Although you're trying to come on to someone who's not interested and clearly, but it's like it's not the worst thing we could do. That's something at least you could maybe wave off a bit. But then he hits somebody, they fall down the stairs, and then you
Yeah.
tie them up, and it's like, okay, now you're breaking the law.
Yeah. Now he is like to the point where yeah, it's like okay, he's gone too
Yeah,
far,
and
obviously.
he's got a gun at this point. And he's got his dad's gun, but you're at least I'm thinking throughout this thing, he's not actually going to do anything with that. I think this is just intimidation. He's kind of just at this point. It's like, is he just kind of going with the flow of the situation? Like, oh, you knocked her down, so now I just have to like do something to keep her quiet, and I'm just kind of
Yeah,
making up stuff as I go along. We don't know, like his mental state, like where he is and what he's really capable of,
yeah.
which I thought
How
was
much
pretty
is this?
engaging. Yeah, because like
Yeah,
I said,
it's
it's
like how
you.
much is this like
Yeah,
planned? How
yeah,
much is this
yeah, because
like
we do not know at this point. Like, because it just seems like from Garrett's reaction, like this is not, at least like he doesn't think this is planned. He's like kind of just like confuses us. Like, we can't do this.
yeah.
This isn't cool. He kind of
Garrett
keeps
is
commenting throughout the
yeah,
movie.
Garrett is almost like I don't want to say like completely a surrogate for the audience because I think more so that's Ashley, but he's definitely kind of the character who sort of I don't know reflects how the audience is feeling a bit more,
Yeah,
uh,
that's a good way to put it.
especially like after a certain moment, after like later on. Um, but yeah, so like what happens here? Like Lucas kind of uh, well, a lot of things are kind of revealed here. It's like okay, well, Luke like earlier, Lucas in sort of the chaos or whatever of like, oh, someone might be in the house. Lucas like throws Ashley's phone to her, but it like falls in the
Yeah, and
aquarium.
at that point, before we know it's a whole prank and all that,
Yeah,
it's like, come on, really? Like he threw it and it
yeah,
just falls in the fish tank. Really,
yeah. It
movie?
seems like, oh, come on, yeah, yeah. But then it's like, oh, okay,
Mm,
he meant to throw it in, but not
that
only that,
little
he
piece of
he wrapped it in plastic so that it actually wasn't broken. Uh, and he uses her phone to call her boyfriend and get him to come over here. Uh, that's what he does, right? Or he at
yes.
least calls the ex, or
Now he
for
calls
sure.
the boy the I think that's like her current boyfriend at the time. The first guy is a
Yeah,
current
the
boyfriend.
first guy, yeah. And he shows up, but it doesn't seem planned. It seems like it's something Lucas didn't want to happen.
Yeah,
Uh,
because he doesn't want to let him into the house. He kind of tricks
yeah,
Lucas into letting him in, and it's like, okay, this obviously is not part of his plan because he's like, oh, she doesn't want to see you. And he keeps trying to kind of get him out and not letting him see her. So again, at this point, it's like he's just winging it. He's just
yeah.
things
This
happening that kind of out of his control, and he's like trying to get a hold of the situation. That's what we're kind of seeing like at this point.
Yeah, this is one of those movies where it very much kind of reflects a certain character. Like we watched Deadstream, that felt like very much like reflective of the character Sean, the main guy in that movie. This feels very reflective of Lucas, and it feels like it's his movie, and he's manipulating the characters as much as the audience.
Yeah,
uh
that's a good way to put it.
and yeah, so I think your boyfriend's name is like Riley or something, if I'm
Ricky, I think it's
Rick,
Ricky.
Ricky. Yeah, okay, that you're right. Yeah, so Ricky comes, and they eventually get him tied up in a chair too. And
Well, first got to mention, just because I knew that this was going to come back, but obviously we didn't know in this way. Is like earlier in the movie, we're told by Lucas's mom that he sleepwalks. So
mhm. Oh
they
yeah,
they close the door and they put a
yeah,
pencil on the doorknob so that if he sleepwalks, they know that he slept walk and all that. And it focuses a lot on this pencil, and it's like this is going to come back in some way. So and like Ricky, he goes upstairs. I think Lucas says like, "Oh, she's having her period or she got diarrhea or whatever," to get her to
yeah,
get him to go upstairs. So he goes up and um, Lucas like attacks Ricky with the bat. He's like,
yeah,
I get this point it seems like pretty desperate to, you know, put Ricky in like the same situation Ashley's in. So he ends up like taking the pencil and stabbing Ricky like right in the
yeah, right in the
almost in his
cheek.
cheek. I was like,
Yeah,
and then he knocks him out with the bat. I just feel like that's got to be said because I knew that pencil was going to come back in some way, but didn't know they were going to do
yeah.
that.
This movie has like a ton of like setup and payoff that is really well done, and things,
Yeah,
even things that
it's not really subtle though to me, just because it's like, okay, you like clearly doing this shot for a couple seconds on this thing that you
yeah,
want us to remember. So it's not like really subtle, but it still does it in ways obviously that didn't meet expectations,
right,
or that like even at that point you might have forgotten about the pencil too, because it's like, well, it might come up during like the home invasion part, but since it never like happens, you might forget about it at that point, and then oh, it
yeah. And
comes back in this way. So
there's even another part later on with the pencil too, which I thought
yeah,
was fun. uh, yeah. So he knocks Ricky out, and yeah, at this point, like the more things that Lucas does, the farther Lucas goes. Like the
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 more
more
pissed off I
Garrett,
got,
the more pissed off you.
the more
Yeah,
pissed off I got.
and
There's
the
like two
more,
people now, and it's like, bro, he got taken out by a 12-year-old. I get that he is a bat, but it's a 12-year-old, man. Come on. You're both adults tied up by a 12-year-old. Gosh, this is pissing me off. Just saying my thoughts during these scenes, I was legit
well,
mad.
it is like you don't. I mean, you wouldn't expect him. You wouldn't
I know.
expect
So
this kid.
obviously they let their guard down, and he's got a
Yeah,
weapon and everything. And when you got a weapon, it's like it doesn't kind of really matter how old you are. Like I get all that. It still just pisses me off. Just pisses me off. It's like, man,
yeah. It's
what, like a
like
12-year-old. Like, do we imagine being like attacked and tied up by a 12-year-old. I'd be pissed more than anything. Like, how did I let this happen? 12-year-old,
Yeah,
man.
exactly. Yeah, it's like, yeah, if I was in this situation, I would feel angry. Yeah, just being under the
Just seething anger.
yeah, just having to be in control by this like 12-year-old kid who
Whose
still
voice
voice
cracks.
cracks.
Yes, his voice cracks like throughout this whole movie, which is pretty
I
great.
I don't know. I think I heard that that was ADR'd in the voice cracks. Like I don't
Oh,
know if
it was a
the
nice
actor was
touch.
still
Yeah,
yeah, it was
it was a
really
nice touch, whether it was like done by the actor or not. You know, it just really again seals the deal about this kid's age
yes.
and that this is a kid doing all this. It's not an adult, it's a kid.
Yeah. And I don't know how old the actor Levy Miller. He must have been like 13 or 14 when they were filming
He
this
probably
movie.
wasn't. He was probably like around the age the character's supposed to be, maybe a year or two older, from what it
Yeah.
seems like you said. So, I mean, because he just seems like I wouldn't have thought that they were the 12. I mean, he's close to 13, but it's like if I had looked at them, I would have guessed that they were probably like 14, maybe 15 at most.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, okay, I can believe the characters are this age.
Yeah, it's they do a great job. And yeah, so now Ashley and Ricky are tied up. Um and I mean like what it's like we could just kind of run through the movie, but what are some like fun or not so fun moments in this part? Um
They just kind of do like Lucas just does a lot of little things here at this point. Like
yeah.
he smokes a joint and then like he has Ricky do it and like
Oh
it's
yeah.
coming out with a cheek. And then also Ashley gets like this little piece of glass and she's kind of like trying to cut the tape every time Lucas kind of leaves the room. And you just keep wondering like, is she going to get out here? Is this the point where they're going to break out and they're going to take out Lucas? I know we got like half the film still to go, so she's not getting away yet. Um,
Yeah.
but you know, like like it's good at like building tension because like he keeps coming back in and she can't quite finish. You keep thinking, oh, is he going to discover because she cut herself with it and she's bleeding? So it's like, is he going to notice the blood? So it does like a good job building up tension because you said at this point we're just not really sure what Lucas will do because it keeps escalating.
Yeah.
All the stuff he's doing, like okay, you know, knock someone down, you tied them up, and now you attacked another person with a bat, you stabbed him with a pencil, and you tied them up too. Things keep getting worse and worse. And Lucas is kind of making threats that he's going to shoot people, but you don't know if he's going to actually do it or not. Like he wouldn't go
Yeah.
that far. We don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, we're still not clued in quite on the plan here. Uh until well, this is probably the I don't know, the big scene of the movie, I would say. Uh where before in the movie there's a pretty again kind of innocent conversation of like they're talking about Home Alone because it's Christmas and they're talking about Home Alone and they're talking about there's a part in Home Alone where one of the robbers, I think Kevin McAllister, throws a paint can
Yeah,
at him and it
tied to
hits
a
him in the
rope.
face.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And they're talking about like, oh, that would kill you instantly. Like I think like Lucas is saying that, and then Garrett is like, no, that wouldn't kill you, you know? Uh and yeah, so they Lucas has Garrett bring Ricky still tied to the chair out to kind of the foyer of the house, and Lucas has a paint can tied to a rope from the upper balcony and like
yeah,
is trying
and
to hit
yeah, but
Ricky in
and
the
you're
face
thinking
with
it's
it.
like no, he's just gonna scare Ricky.
Yeah,
He's not gonna do that.
yeah.
But then
And
of course,
at this point, like Ashley is like finally kind of getting out of the chair. It's still like tied to her, but she gets the gun because it was left on the counter. She grabs the gun, uh, goes out and points the gun at Lucas. Is like, drop it, drop the paint can. Very Dark Knight.
very poor choice
Yeah,
of
very
words.
poor choice of words.
Okay,
And he throws the paint bucket off, and it hits Ricky in the face, and it's like,
you don't one complaint with this scene though is the guy's tied to the chair. Just like sway the chair back and forth so you drop to the ground.
yeah, he could have done that.
He could have gone out of it. I'm just saying. Now maybe you could. He's scared and not quite thinking right, because that tends to happen when you're scared. I'm like, bro, just dude, you know he's gonna throw this can at you. Just like move the chair, throw yourself on the ground. There's a way to get out of this, but
they definitely would have like had something where they tied him down or tied
yeah,
a chair down or something.
yeah,
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Lucas would have, just put him back up and done something, because like he was gonna kill this guy.
Yeah, and plus they blindfold him too, so he doesn't quite know what's gonna
but he knows that like Lucas is throwing the paint can down.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't know when it's gonna hit him, but it's like I'd just be rocking the chair to fall sideways. Yeah, I'm just saying it's a little nitpick, because Lucas would have just like put the chair back up and done something else to make sure it didn't move. This guy's fate was sealed.
Yeah. And the way they do the scene is really good. Like, you just kind of see the paint splatter behind him. You never see the paint can hit his face or anything.
No, but obviously you know exactly what happens. And
yeah,
I think I said out loud watching this movie is like, he really killed someone. He really went that far.
Yeah. It's like at that point, like your heart kind of drops and you're like, oh,
actually killed someone.
Yeah. And
wow.
And like Garrett and
that's kind of like the reaction that Garrett and obviously
Yeah.
Ashley have. Well, Ashley is just, obviously more like angry, and we're more like Garrett, like, you actually killed him.
Yeah.
Like, you actually did it.
Yeah, I like. Yeah, I this scene is just like the moment where you're like, okay, completely serious now. It doesn't feel like there's, because even before there's like some little bits of dark comedy and stuff. Here is the point where it just feels like there's no turning back on this.
No. Like, yeah, now this kid is a psychopath. He really is just a psychopath. Okay.
Yeah. And it's like the way that Lucas reacts to it, like a kid being excited about like shooting a dude in the head in like a video game, being like, oh, did you see that? His head just exploded. And it's like, oh my God.
Like, yeah, like he's not really
it's like
understanding
kind of
what he just did. Like,
I think he understands very well at this
well, yeah,
point
but he has like that type
doing.
of reaction.
It's
where
just,
it's like, you know what you just did, right? But yeah, he knows what he did.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it is the way you described it is pretty good. He reacts very much like a kid would.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, this is totally awesome. See how that happened?
Yeah. And then Ashley has the gun and points it at him, pulls the trigger, and there's no bullets in it.
Nope.
Of course, Lucas pulled the bullets out. And I forget how does he like knock her out or whatever? How does he get her back? And
at this point, she runs. She drops the gun, which why? And she runs into the backyard, and she ends up tripping over the wire that's connected to the paintball gun. So it's like, okay, that's how they pulled that stunt earlier. And then Garrett, right? Wait, what's the friend's name?
Garrett, yeah.
Garrett, yeah, okay. He like runs out to get her. Because I think at this point now it's like he's like as confused as we are, but it's like, oh, we can't let her get away because then we'll get in trouble.
Yeah.
So he tries to get her, but she ends up getting away. She gets out of the backyard, and then she is running to like where the carolers are, and she trips over that brick. I think that's what happened. She tripped over the brick.
Oh no. I think Lucas throws the brick at her.
Oh, he throws the brick. Okay, I couldn't.
Yeah,
I couldn't exactly tell. I thought she tripped over something.
Yeah, it was a little weird.
Yeah,
yeah.
So it's like, oh, it looks like she's about to escape, and we're obviously really hoping at this point she escapes. But
yeah,
that freaking kid just
this after
knocks her out
the paint can. After the paint can scene, it's like everything that happens feels so tense. It's just like you want this kid to get caught so badly at this point.
I wanted him to get just beat to an inch of his life, not just caught. I wanted to jump in there and beat this kid an inch of his life. So bad. I was like, I never wanted to jump in a movie so bad and just beat the ever loving crap out of a character. Just holy
Especially a
cow.
kid.
I know. This movie made me feel the most angry I've ever been at a 12-year-old ever. Good job, movie.
Yeah, and so Ashley's tied up again with Christmas lights, uh, which is like a nice little visual,
That's
I guess. Garrett is just completely like deflated at this point, just like did not want this to go this way at all. Uh, and he becomes, I think, pretty sympathetic here uh, at this point. Um, where Lucas is obviously just no sympathy for this fucking kid.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think before this was revealed too that Ashley tells him that Lucas is the one that killed his hamster too.
yeah,
Wasn't that was real? Then it's like, oh, he's not really your friend. He killed your hamster. And did he like? He didn't tell Garrett that he did it. I
right.
think so.
Yeah, and Lucas even like when that's kind of revealed because they're playing truth or dare, and you know, uh, I think like the dare is like, oh yeah, tell Garrett how you killed this hamster. Lucas still kind of brushes it off, like, oh no, he was already dead before I, did whatever, like threw him out the cage or whatever.
Whatever the little psychopath did.
Yeah, and it's like I think later on he says like, no, like I actually meant to kill that hamster.
What a
Uh,
shock at this point.
yeah. um. Oh yeah. One thing that's happening too at this point, like he Lucas messaged um her ex-boyfriend who is like a total jerk, and he started a rumor that that he and Ashley like slept together and all this, and that's why like she broke up with him. And this guy, I was like, this guy looks so familiar. Like, what the hell is he from? I've seen him before. He's one of the characters in Stranger Things.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like, and he plays like a douchebag in that too. Like this guy just has. I'm sure he's like really nice in person, but he's got that douchebag kind of face.
Some people,
He probably gets. That's why he gets those roles, I guess.
yeah.
I always feel bad for saying that, but like, hey, you getting roles, even if it's a small role in here. It's I think he does a really good job here. Uh, he shows up and uh, goes, I guess, in the backyard, or Lucas tells him to go in the backyard or whatever.
I think
And
when he calls the ex up and says like to come through the back, I think.
yeah, something like that. And Lucas is out there and meets him, and he's like, Ashley doesn't want to see you until you apologize.
Yeah,
Like,
and now we
and
know
she,
his shtick too. It's like, okay, he
yeah,
seems to have like a vendetta against anyone who dated
who
Ashley
dated, yeah,
because he loves Ashley. So it's like at this point, it's like, okay, he just wants to take out like anyone with any romantic connection to Ashley. Because at this point, okay, he killed the first boyfriend. We know he'll kill now, and you can tell like he's gonna try to kill this guy.
yeah. And it goes a step further where he tells, I forgot, I don't know the character's name. I think it's like Travis or something.
The ex,
Jeremy. No, the character, the ex-boyfriend,
yeah,
Jeremy. I don't know why I thought it was Travis. uh Jeremy, he tells Jeremy like, she wants you to write down your apology. uh and we're like, okay, like, I don't know if you, I don't remember if I was like, oh, I get what he's doing now. Did you like kind of know at this point like what Lucas was up to, or
yeah, like trying to get him to almost
basically,
write
yeah,
like
of framing him?
framing him. Yeah,
Yeah. I think maybe Lucas said something about it before, but it was like, oh God. And just like,
yeah. Once you know what he's kind of
it's
up
like,
to at this point, it's like you little,
yeah,
you're
and
not gonna get
Lucas
away
sneaks
with
up.
this.
There's like I think Jeremy's like sitting on the swing and writing the note, and he finishes, and then Lucas sneaks up behind him with a noose and ties it around him, and I think it's like attached to like the lawnmower or
Lawnmower.
something.
Yeah, so he uses the
Yeah, and he
lawnmower.
yeah, so he uses the lawnmower to pull him, and it's like, oh my god, this devious
I
kid.
was
Like,
like, somehow I was like,
geez,
come on, man, get out of it
I
somehow.
know.
And it's like, nope, he kills a
Yeah,
second person.
and like then we see the note, and it's like it just says like, Ashley, like, I'm so sorry for everything I did. And it's like, oh my god. It's like, I don't know, it just made me feel like so like empty, you know?
I was just full. See, I'm not empty. I'm full of seething rage.
Yeah,
And I've
it
like,
just made me like sad. I was like,
I
this
never wanted
fucking
a
kid.
12-year-old to die a horrible death before, because that's all I was thinking watching this. Especially, it just my rage continued to escalate the more things escalated in this movie. I was just hopping
Yeah.
mad. I almost just wanted to skip to the end to see if he gets caught, just to make me feel better. I didn't, but you have no idea how tempted I was. Like, please just tell me. I don't know if I can watch any more of this if like I don't know if that kid gets away with this or not. He can't get away with this. There's no way the movie would end like that. But I want to know so bad. Like, please tell me like this kid just gets like the beating of his life. Please let this be how the movie ends. Just someone, anyone, Santa Claus, come down the chimney and just beats this kid. I don't care. This needs to happen. So yeah, those were my thoughts watching these scenes. I've just given you my thoughts. Because like I said, I felt many things watching this movie. Mostly anger. Mostly
Yeah.
anger. I don't know how
Yeah.
you can't. Like, just
I mean, I was definitely pissed off at the kid, but I was like, it just made me feel sad for the guy. You know, it's like, okay, even though this guy was like a douchebag, I don't know,
hey, he
something
didn't
about
deserve to
that moment just
die.
yeah, it was just like, oh my god, like, come on. Uh yeah, so it's
I
like,
mean,
okay, he's
killed by a
framing
jealous 12-year-old.
yeah.
What a
It's
way to
like
go.
uh and then uh well, Garrett is starting to free Ashley, and we're like, oh my god, like
Yeah,
finally,
he
like
finally comes
she's
to his
gonna get,
sense.
and then nope,
Yeah,
Garrett gets
he gets a
shot,
shotgun and he shoots Garrett. Like,
and it's like, oh
again,
my
like we're not. Garrett's his
god,
friend. He's not, or he claims to be his friend. He won't
yeah,
do that, and then he does it. Shoots Garrett, and this I felt really sad for Garrett here because Garrett
yeah,
obviously is like, you shot me. I'm bleeding. I'm dying, and he has a very, I think, realistic reaction for like what a 12, 13-year-old would feel, and like he's
yeah,
about to say like, I want my mom. Like, of
yeah,
course he does,
that
and then yeah, Lucas like cuts him off before he can finish saying mom and shoots him in the head.
yeah, it's
It's
like,
like three
again, we don't
people now.
see much, like, we don't really see the
No, you don't have to. You
violence.
don't
Yeah,
need to. You know already.
yeah, just like, just Garrett saying, almost saying like, I want my mom, is like more impactful than like, you know, just seeing his head explode or get shot or whatever. It just wouldn't work for this kind of movie. I feel like there probably is some version of this movie in some alternate reality or whatever, where it's like someone directed this very,
It's
I don't
just this
know,
huge gore fest.
trashy.
Lucas is
Yeah, so, yeah,
planting bombs and people and goes on Michael Bay on them, I guess.
yeah, or like
Just
treating
explosions
Lucas as,
everywhere.
it's like, I don't know, or treating Lucas like he's cool or something, you know? Like, could you imagine that? Like, that would be fucking horrible.
I think I would stop watching the movie.
I know. But yeah, so Garrett, and really the only, I mean, like, the only reason Garrett seems to get shot is because he like just kind of gives Ashley like a kiss on the cheek, you know, before he like is about to set her free.
I think
He
my
like,
face was red at this point of the film too. I'm just
yeah,
saying. I think I was like legitimately boiling with rage. I'm not kidding. I was legitimately mad.
I don't know if I should feel bad or or not
Oh
for
no,
recommending this.
I was pissed. Oh, I was pissed. Like I'm pretty sure I was red. Gosh, I was so
I
pissed off watching this.
I
I've
would have loved
never.
to have watched this with you. Now I'm
Oh
like
yeah, you probably would
disappointed
have
we
been. You
didn't.
probably would have been entertained watching me like just get so pissed off. I think if I was with someone, I probably would have just like banged on something or like wanted to throw something of how pissed off I was getting. It's like this. I'm like Jesse. He can't keep getting away with it.
Yeah, it really is like it's just like everything this fucking kid does is like, come on,
He's just a
he's
dumb
got to get
12-year-old.
caught
Gosh.
somehow. Uh, and like, oh my god, yeah. At this point, it's like, okay, he kills his best friend, or supposedly, or whatever. He does seem like he feels some bit of remorse about it, and is
Yeah,
like,
he seems
he's like
upset that
throwing
he.
a tantrum essentially.
Yeah, well,
It's this whole movie is one big
again,
fucking tantrum
tantrum. Yeah,
from a 12-year-old.
that's pretty much the best way to put it. And it's a
It's just
12-year-old throwing a
like,
tantrum that kills people. I think that's what's just like so
yeah,
frustrating about it is it's like you said, that's like the a great way to really sum up this movie is a 12-year-old psychopath has a tantrum and people die.
yeah. And then yeah, but it's like, okay, he shoots Garrett and yells at him and everything, but then he's kind of like, I didn't need you anyway, or something like that. Where it's like, it's either him kind of, you know, uh, excusing it for himself or what, but
Or like this kind of
I don't.
cool guy persona that he's kind of trying
Yes,
to have throughout this movie because he's trying
yeah.
to
Even though
he
he's like a
thinks he's so
squeaky,
cool.
he's even though he's a squeaky 12-year-old.
Yeah, but in his mind, he's just like a badass.
Yeah, and it's like, oh dear. And then he like lays beside Ashley, and I like this moment where he's like telling her about how his mom stopped, like, whatever, like, tucking him into bed or something like that, or giving him a goodnight kiss, or
Something like that. I think tucking him into bed.
yeah. And she says, like, I know why she didn't do that, like why she stopped doing that, but she doesn't tell him. It was like the one last bit of some kind of edge that this character can have over this fucking kid, you
Yes, but
know?
he doesn't take too well to that.
Yeah, and he takes out his pocket knife and cuts her throat, and it's like, oh my god, it's just like, at this point you're just like, what the fuck? Like, this fucking kid killed, like, how many people now?
At that
Garrett,
point, it's like four.
Jeremy. Yeah, it's like, oh my
I
god.
know
And
four
then
people. It's like a stupid 12-year-old,
yeah,
stupid like psycho 12-year-old is just throwing a tantrum and killing people, and it's like, when's it end? Like, how many more? He's killed like everybody in this house now. Is he just gonna invite 100 more people over and kill them too?
yeah. And
You know,
this is one part of where he's like, we're kind of finally just alone with this character, and it's after all this shit that he's done, and he's like putting on like Christmas music and like cleaning everything up
yeah,
to
trying and he's
cover
trying to.
his own tracks.
Yeah, at this point, he's like, he's taking the knives and the weapons that he used, and he's like trying to get their fingerprints, trying to
Oh
get
yeah,
like the
Jeremy's fingerprints on
fingerprints and
them,
stuff.
and
Like, he's trying to set them up like it was like a,
it was a
I don't
home
know,
invasion.
yeah, like a
Like,
home invasion, and then like the killer killed themselves because that's how he's like trying to kind of frame it. And
yeah,
you're wondering, it's like where would he learn to do this all from movies, I guess, and stuff. He knows like, oh, they'll look for DNA and fingerprints and stuff, so I got to do all of this.
yeah,
So it's like, is he going to get away with it? Because at this point, you think he might, because now there's just
yeah,
who's gonna think a 12-year-old did all this? The
yeah.
police aren't
And
gonna think that.
there's like a tension here of like, you keep it's like, it's so weird, because at this point, I feel like I've had two different reactions to this part of the movie, where sometimes I'm like, I'm almost in the kid's headspace, where I'm like, is there like, what, there's got to be something that I missed, like something is going to, like, one little small thing is going to get this kid caught, or I'm like, goddamn, there's got to be one thing that he missed, even though I've seen it. It's like, I just like, I get so invested in the movie at this point, and it's like, even though I know what's going to happen, um, it's like, yeah, the he's like you said earlier, they put a pencil on his door so that because the intent of that is so that if he does start to sleepwalk, the pencil falls and they know he's sleepwalking. Um, but like they he's like he's basically trying to make it look like he was asleep the entire time,
Yeah.
which is a little bit far fetched for me. Like just a, it's like okay, how would this kid sleep?
Sleep
Like
through all this
if I was like the
gunshots.
parents or the police, I'd be like, how did this kid sleep through this entire thing? Like
Yeah, you can see some
how
like
did he not
holes,
get
some
killed?
stuff. Yeah, I and even though he kind of tried to take the weapons and everything, get fingerprints from other people on them and stuff, his fingerprints would still be on like some other things. We don't see him like do all the cleanup. It either just doesn't show, or it's like, well, what about the lawnmower? Does like he wipe his fingerprints on that? It's just
Yeah,
like if the, you think it's like, well, if people are actually to really look into this, like his story would kind of fall apart. You'd think, um,
yeah.
but
I
obviously
guess
at
it's,
that point, it's like, well, I don't know.
but in a way, I guess like his idea of like how he's framing it is that the ex-boyfriend came to kill her and the boyfriend, right?
Yeah,
So it's like he almost probably didn't have to go upstairs or anything, but it's kind of weird too because it's like okay, at the same time, wouldn't he know that she's like babysitting a kid? This is like the only part of the movie that I'm like, I
yeah.
kind of
Well,
wish that he acted like he was victimized or something. That would
yeah,
be more
I could
believable to
see.
me as like an outsider, right? Like
I
if
guess
he was like stuck in a closet or something like that.
yeah, yeah. I think it kind of just you can chalk it up to he's even though he's a psychopath, he's still like a 12, 13-year old, and he's not he clearly didn't think a lot of this stuff through. So a lot of things
Yeah.
that he's doing, if you were the police or a detective or something, it's like, well, some of this stuff doesn't add up. He just, I guess, wanted to try and make it seem like he was just not involved in it at all, which
Yeah.
makes it
And I
look
guess
way more suspicious. But
I
he's
guess you
not
could say too
thinking
that
about
like,
that.
okay, well, like maybe the ex just didn't want to kill a kid. You could frame it that way too. Um, but of course, like I'm just saying, like if I was like a policeman in this situation, I'd be like, there's something a little odd about that. But
Yeah, I
I
think it
can
just
still
goes up to
believe
like
it.
he's still a kid and he has
Yeah,
like probably a child's understanding of how this would all work. He just thinks that he can probably like, oh, I'll just put
get away
their,
with it.
I'll get away with it. I'll put their fingerprints and they won't question it at all.
Yeah,
That's just kind of like how I justified that in my mind. He's like, well, but he's a 12-year old. And he just is so confident that he's not going to get caught if he can just do this and that, and they won't question that. I mean, obviously, know we're never
yeah,
gonna like find that out because the movie's not gonna go into that. And even like before the movie ended, I didn't think it would show like the police investigation or something like that. It's like he's either
right.
going to get away with it, or there's gonna be something that happens like when the parents get home and when the police get there, something's gonna be revealed. It's gonna be like one of those two endings. And I was like, the movie can't end with this kid getting away with it. I just don't think that's what's going to happen. Something is going to happen, something he's going to miss or slip up, which is kind of like what ends up happening.
Yeah. So everything seems to be going well for Lucas. The parents come home. We just hear her screaming at everything, uh,
Yeah, of
which is
course.
completely, yeah, like of
Uh,
course,
I would scream if I came home
uh,
to that because like they're
yeah,
immediately going to see when
the
they first
kid,
come in the
yeah,
door, like the guy with
Ricky,
and blood and all that everywhere. So of course they're going to
yeah,
scream.
and like another thing that just is sad too is like Garrett probably would have gotten away alive if he didn't like try to cross Lucas, but at the same time, it's like, well, yeah, we wanted him to get Ashley out of there, and we wanted her and Garrett to like fucking kill Lucas, but it's like, oh man, like Yeah, it doesn't seem like Garrett was supposed to die.
That'd be like another hole in his plan, because like, why was his friend Garrett there and got shot, but Lucas is upstairs sleeping?
Yeah, I guess you could
That would have
say
been like
like
another
Garrett
hole.
maybe showed up in the middle of it or something.
Yeah, I mean,
Would
at the
be
same
the
time, Lucas didn't like have a whole lot of time to like clean up and like frame things the way he probably could have. Could
yeah,
also maybe chalk it up to that, but just at the same time, it's like he's just a dumb 12-year-old. He's probably not thinking, every little detail.
right. He's thinking out a lot of it.
Yeah, but not
So
everything.
yeah. Uh yeah, he should have really made sure that Ashley was dead because she's being pulled out with
Yeah, I think
paramedics and
yeah, because at this point,
you
like
just
the mom
hear
is in the room and she's like kind of hugging it, and you
yeah,
think, okay, the movie's gonna end like any time. Like something's got to happen here, and then we hear one of the um,
paramedics or
paramedics, yeah,
yeah.
or what, probably paramedic, saying like, "Oh, one's alive," and it's like, "Oh, which one's
Yeah,
alive?"
yeah, it's like at that moment, you're just like I feel like everyone who sees this movie, just their eyes light up, you know?
It's same
They're like,
reaction like Lucas
like
does, because
thank God.
that's pretty much like the reaction Lucas has, as he goes like, "Alive,"
Yeah,
and then we see that it's Ashley, and
yeah,
it's almost
and that
funny. It's like
she,
she put duct tape over the stab wound so she didn't
yeah,
bleed out. It's like, okay, sure,
I could buy it.
I
That's
guess
fine with
that's
me.
fine. Sure, whatever. That's
I
fine.
mean, if she was able to like do that, like, I mean, I don't know if she was able to get duct tape on that, like she could probably have like put pressure on it and kept it from
Probably.
bleeding too.
I don't know how
Um,
she could have done that without Lucas noticing, but it's
Plus, it
fine.
didn't seem like there was like a ton of time between when he killed her, he thought he killed her, and the parents showing up. So who
Yeah,
knows?
but it's not. I
It's
don't think
not
it's
like
that
that
big
big
a
a
deal. It's kind of just
no.
like, okay, sure.
Yeah,
You kind of just go with it, because we're just happy she's alive,
yeah,
and it's like
yeah,
he won't get away with it, because I love when she was getting put in the ambulance. She can see him in the window, and she just flips him off like, "Yeah, I'm alive, bitch. What are you gonna do about it?"
yeah, yeah. She just flips him off. It's like, oh, thank God. And then credits, and then little scene where Lucas is like maybe we should visit Ashley in the hospital, and they're like, God damn it.
Not gonna get
don't
away
you
with it.
don't you fucking dare take that kid to the hospital. uh
Yeah, this kid pissed me off. You can probably
yeah,
tell. This
yeah,
this I think if I had like to make a most like hated characters in film, this kid would be like in the top three.
dang,
Gosh, I hate this kid so much. I mean, I don't know how you could watch this movie and like not hate this kid unless you are this
yeah,
kid. So, obviously the movie is not trying to make you like him.
yeah, it's
He's
definitely not.
like clearly you're not supposed to. And I think what
Yeah,
what
and
pissed me off too is the fact that it's not like he has some kind of like tragic backstory where he comes from like an abusive family or something. He's just like this regular kind of middle class
yeah,
family, and it's like,
in a safe neighborhood.
why are you this way? Why are you a psychopath? You
Yeah,
know,
I don't know, what did Patrick Warburton do to you?
I don't know. It's like, that's what's like so frustrating. It's like you don't have like any good reason to be doing all this except you're just a psychopath.
Too many
Gosh.
violent video games or whatever.
It's actually funny. In his room, he has like a poster that says "Video games made me do it." Did
Does
you
it
catch that? Yeah, it
really?
does.
No,
Yes,
I
it
didn't
does.
see that.
Yeah, I noticed that. I was like, the news. I
That's
know how the news
funny.
would portray this.
Oh my God, that's funny. Uh,
So yeah, I hate this kid. I hate this kid so much with a burning passion.
but did
That's
you
what I.
like the movie?
I did like the movie because I was very invested once it kind of does the big kind of like 180 where it shows, going from like this kind of bad home invasion movie to, oh, like there's something wrong with this kid, and like how wrong in the head is he? Really wrong, really, really wrong, and it just kind of keeps escalating from there. So yeah, I was very invested in the movie. I was very pissed off watching this movie too, but probably for like the reasons the movie wants me to be pissed off, not like it's so badly made or badly acted or something, so it's pissing me off like that. It's just this character who's obviously the movie does not want you to like. It's not like the movie ever feels like it's like you should be cheering for him. You know, he's like clearly like
Yeah.
the villain of the movie, and we're
Yes.
definitely cheering for Ashley and the other characters to make it out alive. So yeah, I was invested. I was pissed. I was invested. So yeah,
uh
I would say at that point, just like when it was just like that kind of home invasion part, I was like, this movie kind of sucks. Like
yeah,
it
it's
lures
very
you into that false sense of security almost. It makes you think it's something else, and like once you find out like what the kind of twist is, it's like okay, now it makes sense why things don't make sense. Kind of like some other movies we've watched where it made you think that, and then it's like, oh no, you had it wrong.
yeah, it's very it's a good like kind of blind watch,
I don't know if I could watch
but
this movie again though. I don't know if I could watch this movie again.
I mean, I've seen it 3 times now, so I like when movies can make me feel kind of something awful like that. But I can definitely see like some people being like, "This is one and done for me,"
That might be it
or
for
not even.
me. I just think every time I'd watch this, I'd get so hopping pissed off at this kid. I mean, I know you get caught at the end, or it's implied you're going to get caught, but just
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, it's
this character
still.
really rubbed me the wrong way, which I know the movie is trying to do. That was like the goal of the movie, but maybe it was a little too effective.
Yeah, it's very. Watching it again. It's like it's still very effective at like suspense. It's a
Yeah.
lot of fun to just like
I think if I
be
was
like,
to
oh,
watch
this is how many things they set up
Yeah.
and
I think if
pay
I was to
off.
watch this again, I would want to watch it with somebody. That would probably be a fun experience. Like, I think you would have
Yeah.
had a good time watching this with me because, man, you would have seen me getting so hopping mad. Like, that I don't really curse. Like, that
Yeah.
obviously. I didn't curse watching the movie, but boy, howdy, did I want to. And I think if I was with someone, I might have.
Yeah, it's like, oh man, it'd be a great like. I would have loved to have seen this movie in like a theater, and see how people reacted to it. But I don't think it did very well. I think I'm looking at the Wikipedia page. But I looked earlier, and it's like $3 million budget, and it made 188,756 at the box office. So
Mm.
it was a pretty, I guess small release, probably film festival kind of movie. Which is surprising because I mean it's like it's really well done. It's not like a cheapo kind of movie like some
No,
some
it's
movies
not.
we've watched.
It's shot very well.
Yeah,
And like
it's
it's got
it's
a lot
got
of like good camera angles, some like interesting takes, interesting shots, how it's done.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
it's
it,
well
it doesn't
acted.
it doesn't feel cheaply made or anything like that. All the
Yeah.
acting's great. Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm like surprised that it's not more, I don't know, well received, I guess. I mean, I think critically like it probably
Yeah.
is pretty well received, but
Obviously, a huge shout out to Lucas's actor.
yeah, Levi
Lucas,
Miller, I
yeah,
believe
he
that's how
uh,
you pronounce
he
it.
was obviously great in the role because he makes at least me legitimately mad, and he really
Yeah.
sells the character. So, props to him.
Yeah, he's great.
I think like he's now up there with like Umbridge for me for like hated characters.
Oh
Where it's
yeah.
like you just like anytime like Umbridge is like on screen, it's just like I hate this woman so much. That's how I felt about this kid. Just like seeing this picture behind you pisses me off. This stupid little like, face. Just want to punch it. Gosh, I hate this character. Hate this kid. Man, do I hate this kid. For good reason though. Just like people how they hate Umbridge. I hate
Yeah.
this kid a lot. a lot. I'm gonna keep saying that too. I better just stop, or I'm gonna keep saying I don't like this kid.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't have too much else to say about the movie as far as I can.
Watch this
Yeah, I don't know.
pissed off.
Yeah, watch it if you want to be pissed off. Uh, yeah, I mean, I think it's like there are certain, Christmas horror movies that get mentioned a lot, like Black Christmas and Gremlins. There's like Krampus, which I love. Christmas Evil. I think this should be up there with great Christmas horror movies. And it's not really like a horror movie in the sense of like people are getting slashed and there's like some kind of, I mean, there's a killer, but it's not really like a slasher. It's more just like
Mhm.
it's almost more of a thriller, but I'd still call it a horror movie too. It's almost more psychologically like disturbing.
Yes,
Um,
that's a good way to put it.
yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I say we just rate it.
Sure.
Uh, I'll go first. I really like this movie. I have seen it 3 times now. I still love just like the experience of watching it, even though I know what's going to happen. I know that, I know pretty much everything about the movie now. It's like, but it's still fun. It's still so well made. Like I still get super engaged in it. I'm gonna give it 4 stars. So
Seems
yeah,
pretty fair. Okay. Yeah, I think it was a really solid movie. Acting was great throughout. I was very engaged because of how angry and how much I wanted this kid to get caught, obviously. Um, but yeah, just the fact that it keeps like kind of escalating. You're really not sure what Lucas is really capable of, and then things just keep getting worse, and it keeps building up the tension. I think he does a really good job at doing all that. So I think it's pretty solid all around. And so I'd probably give it a 3.5.
okay, yeah, yeah. I think that's it for Better Watch Out. Um, I don't know when's the sequel where they're older. That would actually honestly be kind of interesting, but I don't know if I want that.
Yeah, I don't think it's really needed, but that would be very
Yeah,
interesting to see. Well, because this kid should be in jail though. So
yeah. Just want this kid to
is
get
he
beat
is he
up.
gonna invite people to his cell and then kill them?
No, you do like a real time. Like what is it like 6 years later, where he's like an adult. I don't
Maybe
know.
see him get
Um,
shanked in prison. That'd be satisfying. Just
that'd be really funny if it was just like if it just ended on like a title card that said
Ugh!
like Lucas got killed in prison later.
Yes, 5 out of 5, baby. 5 out of 5.
Well, yeah, I think it's like I think it's a good like cult classic kind of movie. I definitely recommend this for like horror fans, or fans of just something different. A nice kind of movie with twists and turns. Um, but yeah, what's the pick for next week?
All right, the pick
I,
for
I have a
next week.
feeling of what it is, but I'm not sure.
Oh, well, it's on Disney. It should be on Disney Plus. I'm like 99% sure it's on Disney Plus. What do you think it is, though? I'm kind of curious, like where you might be leaning.
Should should I guess?
Sure,
I'm gonna guess because I think this is like a childhood movie for you. The Santa Claus?
you got
Is
it.
that
It is a
it?
Santa
Okay.
Claus. It
It was
is a
either
Santa
that.
Claus.
It was either that or like Nightmare Before Christmas because I don't think you've seen that movie.
I've seen it. Yeah,
Oh, you have. Okay.
yeah, just like
Okay.
once years ago. My sister loves that movie. That's like one of her favorite movies ever. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I love that movie too.
But yeah, the Santa Claus is my pick. It is like a childhood Christmas movie that I do very much enjoy. But I don't think I saw it last year, so that means it's probably been like maybe 2 or 3 years since I've last seen it. Um, so yeah, I like to watch it at Christmas time if I can, and
I
yeah,
know
it's
there's
childhood
like
classes.
there's sequels too, aren't there?
There are 3 sequels, and there's like a Disney Plus series that just premiered. But
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I like the second one, to my memory serves right. The second one's like a pretty decent sequel. The third one though was bad. I remember it being pretty bad.
Okay. Because I
But
wasn't sure if you wanted to do like, because we've been doing these marathons of,
oh no, no, no. We're
series that
just to the first. We're just doing the first
just
one.
the
Just
first
one.
one.
Yeah,
Okay.
just the first one. Yeah, we're
I'm
not
cool
doing
with that.
we're not doing all three. No.
All right.
Yeah, I think I like the first one. I think it's a pretty solid film, and I like Tim Allen's Santa Claus. So
I'm
yeah,
sure I saw it at some point. I don't remember much of anything about it, so I'm
okay,
curious
yeah. It's
to
just
see
to
how
me,
it holds up.
yeah. Well, we'll see how you like it.
Yeah.
I doubt like my opinion will probably change too much because it hasn't been that long since I've seen it, and yeah, I grew up watching this movie.
All right. Well, yeah. Next week's movie is The Santa Claus, starring Tim Allen, right?
Tim Allen, yeah.
All right. Starring Tim Allen. It's on Disney Plus if you want to follow along. And yeah, that's it for this week. So we'll see you next week. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
You better watch out, or else Lucas is gonna kill you.
I'll beat that kid within an inch of his life first. You're not gonna one up me with a bat.
We'll see. We'll see. Better watch out too. I mean, next Christmas.
Me versus Lucas.
Yeah.
Let's throw me in a cage with this kid. Let's go time, baby.
This kid, Lucas is just like, who the hell are you? It's like, I saw your movie.
I'm coming at you, boy. Yeah, I'd be in that movie. Just me versus Lucas. Give him whatever you want. All I need are these two right here. It's go time. So yeah, that's the sequel to that movie.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you next time. Bye.